to get into if you want to learn it, because there's different regions don't actually make a difference at that point, because even though like for RTA for racing, the Japanese version is 3 minutes faster because just on text, the in-game timer is the same. So you can have, if you look at the board, you have folks using EU versions, US versions, JP versions, the whole shebang.
And let's see.
Well, we weren't paying attention. We're off.
We were looking at leaderboards, and we are off to the races. So here we go.
They're both very close to each other, though. Dan has a 53, it looked like. So this is they're both very similar in skill level. This should be a good race. Oh, 52.
Cool.
Nice.
Let's see how they handle it.
All right,
so
right
I guess
from the get. Go for it.
I guess it should be. Did the chat worry about the lore, or do they not care about the Metroid lore?
Oh, there's plenty of time to talk about the lore because there's so much text, and both of them doing a difficult vertical climb there, which we actually refer to as the climb, is a complex series of wall jumps. It's not super duper critical, but it's definitely just it kind of sets the tone for the rest of your run, just because it's a surprisingly difficult movement right at the beginning of the run.
Yeah, I've seen some less experienced runners do that a little bit differently, but the high levels all do the same with the kind of wall jumps that they're very tricky to do in this game.
Yeah. I mean, wall jumps are a bit weird in this game compared to Super Metroid. You can't do single wall jumps, and you have to have the bottom half of Samus's sprite touching the wall. If it's only the top half, you're not going to be able to get off that wall. So you have to. It's vertical placement and horizontal placement you got to worry about.
Yeah, I came to this game a little bit from Super Metroid to give it a chance, and it's definitely different. It takes a lot to get used to the different movements.
Yeah, but like I said, most of it is just figuring out your pathing through the rooms and just clean movement. Because in Fusion, there's a couple things that you have to keep in mind. When moving horizontally, you want to be running, because if you're in the air jumping, you don't move as quickly horizontally while you're jumping as you do while you're running. So if you're doing minimize your jumping, both vertically and horizontally. And you're also going to see this probably from both of them. When you see them jump up to a platform, you're going to see them shoot as they land. That's to force Samus to pop out of her somersault a little bit sooner, which lets her land and start running again a few frames faster, which doesn't sound like a lot, but again, it's an hour-and-a-half long run, so it does add up.
For sure. Yeah, and some of the question here is the execution versus RNG, and RNG in this game is very minimal, right? It just comes from the eye doors.
Actually,
moments, right?
I wouldn't call it minimal, because eye door luck can add up to quite a few seconds, and also any number of other things, because I mean, eye door is not just whether or not it shoots you, it's also how long it takes for it to open. Also several different boss patterns. So RNG can add up to quite a few seconds throughout the course of the run.
So pretty good sync here so far.
Oh yes. And that's something else to point out. This game is full of text. Has more text than any other Metroid game, and while you're hunting for PBs, you don't really have to worry about it much, but in a race, your text mashing comes into play pretty seriously.
And what's kind of different than some games is it's not just, you can't just mash and as fast as you can to get out of it, right? You have to wait. It's kind of a rhythm to build up, correct?
Not even a rhythm, actually. It's basically, while there's text moving, you hold down a button and it'll go all the way up to its completion, and at which point you have to press buttons just to make it advance to the next one, and then hold a button down again. It's a bit weird. Once you get the hang of it, and if you know where the boxes end, you can get through it pretty quickly. And they're both staying right on top of each other, heading into the first power-up, the missiles. Missile is going to be a very, very important power-up throughout.
The Metroid franchise.
Yeah, throughout the entire franchise for sure. But in this game, because there are several enemies that are faster to beat with missiles, especially early on, and throughout the game there are certain enemies that you can only beat with missiles. Primarily the Core X's that make up every boss fight. So keeping eye on a missile count is going to be very important, especially early on.
Yeah, in this game, it's not about just pick up the power-ups from the guys that just leave them there for you. This game, you have to kind of do some work to get them by killing these Core X's.
Yes, indeed. No Chozo statues here. You just gotta beat up the enemies and absorb their power. So it's kind of like the future Highlander, pretty much. And we're going to see them both grab these first two missile tanks. These are two of the missile tanks that everybody grabs, both because they're along the way and because the first boss we're coming up on here, Arachnus, takes 15 missiles. So if you don't grab them, it actually makes the fight longer than if you take the time just to go grab them along the way.
Here we go, our first eye door.
Yep, and giving them both a whole lot of beams. Oh, man.
Wow, ExploudYourEar is getting out. There we go. Finally got through there. That was a few beams more than they can do, for sure.
Yeah, the thing about the eye doors is you can have anywhere from 0 to 4 beams between it showing up its vulnerable spots. So for these first couple of eye doors, you can get up to 12 beams, which you want to avoid. Speaking of RNG, Den getting the roll. Arrakis, you want to avoid rolling. Exploud getting perfect luck. 0 rolls, and just like that, he pulls ahead.
See if you can get a good sweet spot here with the thing. If you want to, what you want to do is kill the Core X the perfect time, so you kind of pick up the power up right at the perfect time, so you just keep on going afterwards. And it looks like ExploudYourEar did that pretty well.
Yes, and Exploud also got a double missile, which is a trick that is incredibly important in these runs. Those Core X's, every time you hit them with a missile, they flash, and you can't hit them for several seconds, and especially later on when they take 6 missiles, that takes forever. But thankfully, their hitbox is square. So, if you either put 2 missiles into them while they're forming, or get them to fly sideways into 2 missiles you're firing vertically, you can hit it with 2 missiles at once, which eliminates one entire invincibility cycle from killing a Core X. So later on, a 6-cycle Core X can turn into a 3-cycle Core X, so you get 3 double missiles. So double missiles are incredibly important throughout this run. And actually, Monkey pointing out, each double saves 3 seconds, so over the course of a run, that can add up to double-digit seconds very easily.
That definitely seems to be a trick that really separates the kind of experience from the non-experience too. It definitely is a trick that really matters over the course of things, but it's not easy to do at all, for sure.
Yeah, double missiles are one of those things where learning it for the first couple of bosses with basic missiles is one of the first tricks you learn, just because it's incredibly important. But the thing is, humorously enough, as you get more missile power-ups, double missiles actually get more challenging. Oh, that's probably something we can talk about more once they get the first missile power-up later on. Oh, and we already see there. I believe it was like they went through the main deck missile, taking a little detour to grab that extra missile tank along the way. Now, some folks opt not to grab that, but it's for one. The Sector 1, which they're about to head into, is very, very tight on missile management. So grabbing that extra missile tank now means that they can either opt to not grab another missile tank later if they want, but at the very least means that they're not going to have to worry so much about missile count in Sector 1.
Here we saw our first appearance of what I call Evil Samus, even though it is not Samus.
Nope. We usually just call it the sax because it just rolls off the tongue and it makes me think of smooth jazz. So,
for someone that doesn't know the game, it looks like, you know, in Super Metroid she was blinded by the explosion of the planet, and now she's evil, but that's not true.
Oh my goodness.
That would be a good story, though.
It certainly couldn't be any worse than what they did to the story in a couple of more recent games. But hey, it's time for Sector 1. The big gimmick here is there are five atmospheric stabilizers. We have to stop them because the X has infected them. Takes 3 missiles or charge beam, but we don't have the charge beam yet, so that's one of the reasons why missiles are important in this first part of Sector 1. You need 3 missiles per stabilizer, and there are several enemies like those bear you just saw Exploud go through that require missiles. So maintaining a good missile count here is extremely important, which also means maintaining health is important. Because Fusion, nicely enough, if you have full health, will always give you green X drops, which means missile drops. So you want to maintain high health and keep your eye on your missile count. If you do that, you can make your Sector 1 no problem. As you can see, it's very easy to take hits.
It's a very nice mechanic, for sure. Make sure you have what you need.
Yep.
And there's a tiny chance of a red X with a not Core X, but X guy to come, and then he'll give you full everything, right?
It's not quite full, but in any percent, since our health will never go above 500, it might as well be. But yeah, as you may have seen, a big part of what makes why missiles are so important is because they allow whoever's the runners to basically continue running and not stop. Because missiles will take out things that your very weak starter beam will not, and do it quickly. Because remember, if you stop to jump over them, like you said before, jumping is a lot slower than running, so you're going to be losing frames every time you jump over an enemy, and that's going to add up real quick.
Both our runners still extremely close here, taking care of these stabilizers.
Yep, and Exploud doing great on missile count. Den, a little bit low, but should be okay if you can get at least 1 green drop. Oh, yeah, Den's in good shape for the upcoming eye door. That's the big risk. If you run low on missiles in Sector 1, you can't beat the eye door, because eye doors also require either a charge beam or missiles, and they don't have the charge beam yet. Man, they are right on top of each other. What a close race this is so far.
This is going good here. We're almost to eye door time.
Yep, and this is going to, thankfully, this is going to be the last eye door that has a statistical chance to hit double-digit beams, so let's...
Hopefully they look at similar RNG here.
Oh, Explode gets a double! Nice. Very nice.
Dan coming in here.
Alright. Yeah, Explode got a double on the eye door. Oh no, he does not get the setup for to get the core under control. He's not going to be able to get any doubles, and he's probably going to lose a little bit of time here, especially if Den can get the double setup.
Dan goes for that setup there on top of that platform.
Ooh, looks like Den's got a double on it too. Yeah, you see how much time Explode is losing here, and Den is just has a nice clean setup, and just like that, has closed the gap that Explode got from those doubles. Yeah, these beam cores, as you can see, they actually have an eye, so they're a little bit harder to get doubles on, because you can't just line them up from the side like you do with all the other cores. You have to actually get both missiles into the eye when it opens, which usually requires a trying to get a complicated setup. But now they got the charge beam, which is a fantastically strong weapon in Fusion.
And yeah, just basically always on charge, right?
Not exactly. Although you will generally see runners have it frequently, because even if you're not going to shoot it, having it means you can pseudo screw attack enemies, which will a lot of times get you out of trouble. So it's very useful to have. Top of that, it also has a couple unique properties that doesn't have in other Metroid games. When you if you watch Den or Explode fire, you'll see that the beam actually has 2 shots now instead of the one that it had before, and there's a flash around Samus's arm. All 3 of those parts do damage.
Both 2 beams come out at the same time. They both do 10 damage, and the little spark, as you said, in the arm also does like 6 damage, I think.
I believe it does 7 damage. But,
there you go.
But the point is, if you hit an enemy with both shots, fully charged both shots and the flash, that does quite a bit of damage. It's one of those things where you think the developers probably weren't expecting the players to get into the enemy's face constantly, but that's exactly what we're going to do. And in fact, for notably a boss in Sector 4 coming up a little bit later, it actually makes the boss, if done correctly, very, very short. 2 cycles as opposed to possibly up as high as 5, depending on how bad your luck is.
Still incredibly close here. This is going good so far.
Oh yeah, they're both staying right on top of each other.
One thing that's interesting about this game is it's not, you know, in Super Metroid and the original Metroid, you kind of just, there's the world, go ahead. But this game, you have the computer telling you kind of do this, please. You know, it's kind of interesting. Keep you much more linear.
Yes, absolutely. It's they decided to go for a bit more of a story-based game, which I don't know. I always appreciated, which is great if you want to learn a bit more about the deepest Metroid lore. But it has the downside of kind of making the game kind of tied to the missions that the computer gives you, which makes it very linear, and which is, like we mentioned before, the event system, which regrettably also makes this game surprisingly difficult to mod, because it turns out if you actually mod the game to get things out of order, the game just gets confused. You still get the items you're expected to get from different bosses, but it just ends up breaking, and it's a big mess.
No, you did not miss Emergency in Franker Z yet. That's still coming up. We still look forward to that. Highlight of any run, for sure.
Absolutely. Alright, but now it's time for Sector 2. If Sector 1 was the missile management sector, this is the health management sector, because you may have seen that even small enemies do a lot of damage. See these red slugs on the wall? Those are Zoros. They are not your friend here. You do not want to hug them. They do, I want to say, like 50 damage if you touch them, and they are all over the place in Sector 2. And they have an annoying tendency to spawn directly in front of you, or just go where you want to be. And you can see Den's already having some trouble, because he unfortunately killed one of the Zoros earlier in this first room, which makes it spawn in that higher position, and now Den has already having some serious health issues here.
Down to 85. We'll see if he can keep it alive here.
Oh
Be
yeah,
a little bit more careful coming up to the rest of this area.
Oh yes, because that's 2 Zoro hugs will take out Den at health. Explode's doing a little bit better, but doesn't mean they're out of the blue either. Yeah, Sector 2 is definitely the spontaneous death sector in the early game. You even see Explode there just kind of taking a little bit slower to take care of those ground Zoros. And I cannot blame them. Thankfully, they're on their way to get a... well, thankfully in any other Metroid game, they're on the way to get a useful power-up, the bombs!
Another classic.
Yep, although unfortunately, they made the bomb timer long enough that you can't actually bomb jump in this game, which is regrettable, but honestly, there's, I think, only one spot where bomb jumping would even be useful.
Cloud doing great on energies, full still. Jen is still a little bit something to worry about, not too bad. But
yeah.
Oh yeah, depends on what these red guys do.
Yeah, you got the good Zoro placement in that room. You want Den getting the bad place. So you want that Zoro to be moving left, otherwise you have to kind of be careful to not run into it. And Exploud's also playing a little bit more. You can afford to play a little bit more recklessly here because he has the extra health. So you're probably going to see him not stop to take safety strats in this next couple of rooms. Thankfully, this is probably the last room where Zoros are a huge concern. From here now, it's just the flying enemies and maybe a couple of random flying spikes.
Love the background of this in this area. This is really when I played this game original. I was like, oh my god, this is incredible compared to some of the backgrounds of the other Metroid, especially the original. But yeah, the green and the the areas look really interesting in this game. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, thankfully this game continues Super Metroid's tradition of having very varied backgrounds, so you can actually every area feels unique. Mm-hmm. So you don't get lost because, oh man, this is the 4th purple room with bubbles I've seen. No, none of that.
Yeah.
Alright, but we were talking a little bit earlier about RNG. Well, Den and Explode are both on their way to one of the bigger RNG bosses here, which is Zazabi, which is a very tall, very cylindrical, I guess, boss that can
a Monsters Inc. character, I think.
Yeah, let's go with that. But once again, you can only shoot it from beneath when it actually reveals its weak spot, and between revealing weak spots, it can jump a random number of times, up anywhere between 3 to 12 times. So they're hoping for a lower number, but this can definitely the lead could definitely change here if one of them gets a bad jump count. Explode having already starting out very well with 0 jumps in that first phase.
Second jump for the second one.
Oh man, Den already starting to get the extra jumps.
Yeah, Den having to wait there. Explode getting pretty good. Oh, Explode's getting a few jumps here, and that's there it goes.
Alright, Explode gonna go for the double missiles. Does not get the first double, so he's gonna have to, oh, he finishes off, he gets the double here, and he gets it. With a sweet spot. Okay. Explode is out of there. Den is unfortunately still in a...
Jump zone here.
Very much so. Yeah, Explode got 4 jumps, which is extremely good luck there. Den, meanwhile, having not quite so much luck. But he got, oh, perfect sweet spot right there. As you saw, he didn't have to wait for it at all. It was just already there to be picked up. Oh boy.
Here we get to wait for Evil Samus again. Doing her slow walk.
Well, I mean, I suppose they could if they really wanted to go for the skip, but I don't think anyone's going to go for the skip in this tournament.
Yeah, that's. I've seen the video. That looks pretty cool, but yeah, definitely not worth it during a race because
it is extremely risky.
Yeah,
and there is no backup strat. If you fail it, you're just dead. Yeah, thankfully we have a very good visual cue for running down as quickly as possible without alerting the sacks, which is if you stand at the far left wall and run to the right, as soon as the sack shoots the door, you will never alert the sacks. Oh, Exploud going on the right route. That big room has two possible paths. You can either bomb the wall like Exploud did, or you can take the left route, which is just run back around that serpentine path, which ends up being more often not about a half a second faster, but a lot of folks will just take the bomb path because it's just kind of, I think it was the old route before it was retimed it. But yeah, they're both still right on top of each other, but they're heading into Sector 4, which is where things can really start to separate if they have bad luck with the boss in there.
Yeah, aquarium time, yeah.
Yep. Ceres, the destroyer of fun. Yeah, but it's not just Ceres in Sector 4. There's a couple of movement tricks that can save or lose a little bit of time, and just if you're not careful in Sector 4 and you take a tumble into the Exploud forgetting where he was going for a moment there. But if you take a tumble in Sector 4, you can land in the water and you'll take extra damage and also just lose several seconds. So they want to have clean movement and have a good Ceres fight, and they can definitely strengthen a lead or catch up very easily in this sector.
At this point in the race, anyone's kind of, yeah, I'm doing great. I'm feeling good here. Is anyone? You think anyone has that kind of feeling, or you still always just gotta be worried about the next thing?
I wouldn't necessarily say you have to be worried about the next thing, but you can. It's one of those things where you can't really let your guard down until you got done. All right, Explode the first one to head into Sector 4, and you're going to see just there's a lot of wall jumps, a lot of pseudo screw attacks, and a lot of shooting things as early as possible, especially on some of these rooms, in order just to keep moving. You're gonna see them. If everything goes well, they'll never stop moving. Yeah, that room right there, you see a lot of use of pseudo screw, and also another new movement trick in Samus's arsenal. If you are in a neutral jump in the air and you press jump again, you will go into a somersault, which is I'm sure Super Metroid runners would love to have that, but they don't. It was added in Fusion. Both of them going through Sector 4 pretty well, having a couple taking a little bit of damage here or there, but otherwise having relatively good movement.
Hey, you want to stay out of the water as much as possible there, because obviously water is slow.
Yeah, it's electrified. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but since generally you want to avoid taking refills, you really only get refills at the red X's at the eye doors. So they're about to get one right here. All right, so let's talk real quick about Ceres. We mentioned Ceres is where that charge beam comes in handy. You want to release your charge shot right when Ceres's head is on Samus's arm. If you do it perfectly, you'll get 2 cycles. The first hit is, we know exactly where Ceres is going to be, at the far left of the monkey bars on the ceiling. You're going to see Explode do it right here. And then after that, Ceres has patterns, 3 sets of patterns. And if we know what the first one is, we can estimate where Ceres will be for the second one, and you're going to see it right there. And Explode gets the 2 cycle just like that. This core takes 5 missiles, so ideally they'll get 2 doubles and a single. Explode looks to be in good shape for it. Meanwhile, Den's setting up for that first hit. Explode having a really good Ceres. Den getting the first hit now. Let's see if Den can follow that up and stay right on. Oh, gets a good setup for the second shot.
Oh, just missed it.
Oh, very nice. Den getting the 2 cycle. Gets the first double. Having a little bit of trouble getting the positioning. So there's one. He just needs 1 more double, and the core is done. Oh, losing 3 seconds there, having taken extra round and no sweet spot. But both of them have beaten Ceres in relatively short order, so staying right on top of each other there. Oh, Explode taking a tumble. A few seconds lost there. And one of the things you'll notice is it's very easy to accidentally just start running into a bunch of enemies. The health loss is unfortunate, yes, but the big thing is Samus gets knocked around kind of like a Belmont sometimes. So it's very easy just to lose several seconds and you start getting knocked around. So it's one of the first things that you'll also hear folks tell you you start streaming and some of the veterans come into your channel is just work on cleaning up that movement. Stop taking so many hits. Just move through a room cleanly, and that's where most of your time save as you start learning this game is going to come from.
Yeah, with so many runners in this game, it's really the community must be pretty welcoming, yeah.
Oh yeah, a bunch of very cool folks, a bunch of meme lords, but we're always happy to have new folks trying to learn the game. And you also actually didn't mention Exploud did a really cool trick there. Let's see if Den can do it, and then we can talk about it here. You'll see him try to... Oh, doesn't quite get it. What he was trying to do was unmorph near the ground and Shine Spark to the right. Because now that they have the speed booster, they both can run fast and do Shine Sparks for those fancy little shoulder charges and rocket impressions that Samus can do. If you unmorph close to the ground and do it, you can actually Shine Spark low enough to get under those platforms and go next 2 rooms over. Otherwise, she kind of hovers above the ground and will bonk on that platform, so...
Some of the Shine Sparks just look so cool.
Yeah, I know. They made Shine Sparking better in this game versus Super Metroid. It doesn't take you don't take damage from it anymore. It's a little bit easier to get the horizontal and the diagonal one coming out. And also, if you do it into a slope, Samus will just take off running again. So it's a lot more utile in this game. You're going to see them use it a lot for both little time saves like the one Exploud did there, the Elevator Shine Spark, which saves you a few frames, and bigger ones like Low Height Shine Spark that you saw him do earlier. Pro tip for speedrunning, stop playing slow. Oh my goodness. We got some comedians in chat today.
Yeah, get good is always a good strategy, yeah? Get good.
Alright, well they're on their way to Sector 3 though, the hot sector. And this one, they're gonna get the first missile upgrade, which is actually the best missile upgrade, super missiles, because it makes their missiles a lot more powerful. And also gives them the most satisfying missile sound in any Metroid game. I'm not even lying. When you hit something with a super missile in this game, the screen shakes and makes this the most satisfying, impactful thunk. It's so good. But first, they're going to have to unlock all the doors, because good space station design means that we're going to put the method for unlocking a door behind the door that's locked with it. Uh-oh. Oh, God. You still with me? Alright, looks like I might be solo for a little bit here, but Exploud having no trouble getting to the security room. Den going to be right behind him here. Yeah, the intended strat here is just to jump through that wall and then just get a second running jump, but if you just do a horizontal Shine Spark near the ceiling, you save yourself the trouble, it's a little bit quicker. And we're going to see him do another fun Shine Spark trick here in a moment. If you crouch on when you're standing on a block that would break while you run over it, you can actually break the block and maintain the charge. It's called a Shine Break, and we're going to see Exploud try it here in a moment. And doesn't quite get it. Crouches a little bit too late. If you get that, you can actually Shine Spark up this vertical shaft that he's in right now. Not a huge time save, but... I'm sorry?
It's a frame perfect trick, yeah. It's not a simple...
Oh, no, it's not frame perfect. You have several frames to do it. But it's one of those ones where if you do it too soon, you have to reset the room, or if you do it too late, you just don't get it. So it's not terribly... It's almost always worth trying it. Gosh, these side hoppers take 3 missiles. Good thing we're about to get the supers. Supers will make short work of them.
Yeah, those guys are extremely annoying in all forms of this game.
Oh yes, and they do a lot of damage at this early point in the game as well. But just like that, super missiles, they just override your normal missiles, which is kind of nice. You don't have a separate inventory of them. But that also means Exploud's gonna have to face off against the box, the security robot. Now, the thing about box. If you approach box the same way, box will always hop across into preset positions. So if Exploud gets good movement and jumps in the right spots, you can take out box after it only launches 1 bomb. So let's see if we can do it. Got the hop pattern. Looks good so far. And oh, that last missile when box is off to the left. So only got 1 bomb, but we're gonna have to wait for box to walk a little bit farther. Ideally, you want to kill box as far to the right as possible. so it does its slow walk of death more quickly. Let's see if Den can do it here. Gain a few seconds back.
Yeah, take advantage here. See if Den can make it happen.
Well, they had a pretty much identical box fight, so looks like they're going to be about breaking even on that. Still, solid box fight.
Box being one of the only characters that doesn't drop a core X, right? I guess because it's mechanical is the lore there.
Well, actually, we're not done with Box. As you saw, Box got away, so we're going to be seeing more Box later.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. I thought there was a palette swap, but it wasn't. It's the same box.
It's the same Box. Yeah. This is actually also one of the few times in this run where you actually have to keep their eye on their missile count. They want to have 3 missiles heading into Sector 6 because there's going to be a barrier there. They can use a Shine Spark to break through that barrier, but it also makes it a little bit harder to lose a little bit of time because they have to actually bomb a wall on the return trip instead of doing it on the way out. So it loses them a couple of seconds. Thankfully, I think they're both okay on missile count. Oh, Exploud with exactly 3 missiles, cutting it close. But first, let's have a little bit of Betrayal. Betrayal's good, right?
Definitely.
Here we have a computer CO talking to Weird Suit Man, plotting obviously up to no good. Either that or plotting Samus's surprise birthday party. We're not really sure.
Definitely don't know what happened there. Yeah, it's not important, guys. What we do know is evil Samus is still on the loose. She's still blinded by the explosion from Super Metroid.
Blinded by the light.
Trying to chase her. Her daughter is trying to chase her and run away from her. That's all you need.
Who would have thought that Metroid Fusion was actually a family drama? But Exploud heading into Sector 6, not much to worry. The only couple things really to worry about in Sector 6 at this point in the game, which is one of them are the blue X's, because since Samus does not have the Metroid suit, the Various suit, they will hurt. They actually do about, I want to say, 60 damage if they touch you, and there's not too many of them on the route that they'll be taking, but still, if you let them get close to you, they can definitely put the hurt on. And they're also going to have to deal with the sacks at one point. They're actually going to engage the sacks and then shoot it and let it chase them a bit. It's faster than waiting for the sacks to move normally. But there's very little chance of dying to it unless they shoot it too soon.
Yeah, usually the sacks is very dangerous, so and walks very slow. So you give it a little shot, say, "Hey, I'm here." They chases on, and then you get out faster. But let's see if they can pull it off.
Yeah. Basically, the rule of thumb in Fusion speedrunning is if aggravating the sacks makes it get out of the way faster, we do it. Otherwise, just let it do its thing.
It's slow, methodical, dramatic walk.
Thankfully, this is also one of the reasons you don't worry about health at this point is, like I said, the blue X's, there's not that many of them. And also, this is one of the few energy tanks that is always grabbed because it's literally costs 0 time to grab it. It's right there. It's right along the way. You might as well grab it.
Right, drop the bomb and then drop the bomb first, then pick it up, then go down the hole. It's really nice.
Yep. You gotta be careful though, because if you drop the bomb too close to the energy tank, you will actually still get knocked away once the cutscene ends. Oh, it's kind of funny, actually. Alright, and the trick here is the sacks will drop a power bomb, get up and start walking. You cannot shoot it immediately. You have to let it take a couple of steps first. Otherwise, instead of running and jumping over you, it'll actually just shoot diagonally down, freeze you, and at that point you're just in trouble.
Exploud doing it perfectly there, got past it.
Yeah, no problems there. It chases you here, but it's not going to catch you. Once you get through this door, it just goes away. And Exploud also coming up on my personally least favorite boss in this run, the Giant Core X. The trick here is, again, you can take advantage of that arm flare with the charge beam. If done correctly, they can take it out in 4 cycles. Otherwise, it takes more. And they're going to try to keep it stuck on the left side of the screen by knocking it back as much as possible using those charge shots. So let's see if Exploud can do it. So far, so good. 2 shots. 3. And perfect. That's exactly what you want to see. But you're also going to see Exploud's going to try to it's going to have a little bit of a different setup here, trying to get the Core X flying at it higher than before, because now that they have super missiles, there's actually a longer cooldown between shots. You can't fire missiles as quickly, so you have to actually have to line it up a little bit differently to get the doubles. In other words, with every new missile upgrade you get, the double missiles are actually harder to do. as you can see here, Den is actually having a little bit of trouble with it, in fact. You can't quite do it as low as a height as you used to be able to because of that longer cooldown of the shots.
Exploud gained a little bit of more of his lead there. But Den's still definitely still in there.
Yeah, Den's still having having himself a good giant core X fight. Staying right on Exploud's tail. Alright, at this point they're just going to make their way out of Sector 6 and head on to Sector 5, because now that they have the Various suit, they both take less damage and can actually deal with hot and cold rooms no problem. And what better way to celebrate that than by getting a missile downgrade?
Always a good choice.
Nah, they give a lore reason, which is ends up, as you find out later, ends up being completely false, but the explanation being that, much for the same reason that Samus can't deal with cold stuff because she's part Metroid now, you can't have the Ice Beam anymore, so we're getting the Ice Missile upgrade.
Well, still better than Other M, right? Other M handles it in the worst way possible. You just aren't allowed to use that.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. But ice missiles, they do more. The thing is, the missile upgrades, ice missiles do more damage than super missiles, but it's impossible to one-shot enemies anymore because you will always freeze the enemies. So now from here on out, it will always take 2 missiles to kill an enemy, which is unfortunate. But Sector 5 is another sector that, at least in the Sector 5, we come back to several times, and each time, you go through a lot of the same rooms in different ways. So Sector 5 has a bit of a secret danger. Not really secret, it's one of those kind of unspoken dangers where if you forget which visit you're on, it's very easy to accidentally go the wrong way, or just to completely wind up lost or having to do an extra lap of the sector. So, hopefully, they'll all...
Testing the runner's concentration here.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully we're not going to see any of that.
I love holding the Shine Spark and then going to the computer. I want to see what that looks like in IRL. Just standing there with the spark. Boo.
It's like, why is it whenever we call Samus on the phone, it looks like she's in the middle of a rave party?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness, but there's not much to say about Sector 5 right now. This time they're just going to be going through it to unlock the doors and then come back, do a lap, and come back around to hit the data room. There is a large cold room at the in a couple of rooms here, which it's very easy to lose a lot of times. It's full of rippers. Those annoying flying enemies that, if they see you, they just kind of start flying right at you. If you can deal with them all, it's no problem, but it's very easy to run into like 4 or 5 of them, which will lose you several seconds. But Exploud seems to have both good placement and deal with the ones that are in his way. Oh. Yeah, just like that.
Yep, I see what you mean. They just flew right in his way. There's nothing he could do.
Yeah, yeah, they just come at you. You gotta be ready for it. And Exploud getting this the last hurrah of the super missiles there, because pretty soon they're not going to have that satisfying kaboom. Den actually having a very good room there, having very few bonks on the enemies, so getting a little bit of time on movement there. Got so many rippers in that room though.
Yeah, they just get right in your way.
Exploud actually coming up on a really cool vertical room. This one here, we'll go through it twice, and the second time it's actually possible to do a much more difficult strat called we call the Kadoom strat. We'll see if either of them does it. It saves very little time, but it looks incredibly cool. So I kind of hope one of them does it, but we'll see.
Yeah, with the race this close, let's see if anyone goes for it.
Actually, it's probably a good time to mention, you saw Exploud shoot that gate right there. Another fun thing about the charge beam that we actually do often, but we never really talk about it much, is if you hold a charge going into a door transition, when you come out the other side, you will always have a full charge, which is actually extremely useful. And also, if you actually go into a door transition with a charge and let go during the transition, you will actually shoot a fully charged shot on the first possible frame on the other side of the door, which lets you open gates really quickly. And that's what that's actually what Exploud did there, and what both of them did in the earlier room with the long narrow corridor after the climb. It's really a very useful trick.
Yeah, really another reason why the charge beam is just like too good, right?
Yeah, no, the charge beam is one of your best friends in this game. It is very powerful. It is very, very useful. Oh, but still having a little bit of trouble trying to do the climb back out here. Yeah, humorously...
Opening the door a little bit for Den here.
Yeah. This is actually one of the first spots where sometimes people will actually forget to hit the data room. And you see that shadow flying in the background there. If you enter this room and there's no shadow in the background, you forgot something. You'd better turn around. But if you don't notice that for whatever reason, there's something else coming up here that is impossible to miss. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Exploud, what did you do? What did you do, Exploud?
We're about to hear about it in chat, hopefully.
Did you leave the refrigerator door open? Oh, wait, no. There seems to be an emergency. That's right. It's time for the ever-popular grand tradition of Metroid Fusion speedrunning, the emergency in Frankerzy.
Here we go. Let's keep it rolling, chat. Until they get through this section, please.
Yep, they have 6 minutes until the main Magoo explosion, so they better make their way over to Sector 3 and do something about that. This is actually one of the more challenging chunks of the game, because they're on a timer. The timer is actually not really what they have to worry about, but there's a lot of complicated movement here, and it's very easy. And messing up means you either fall into the lava or start getting knocked around by enemies that do a lot of damage. So Exploud's gonna be dropping down that vertical shaft and dealing with it pretty soon here, and we'll see how his movement goes. Now, so getting above a 430 in this section is extremely good, but I think that getting something in the 420s would probably be definitely something they could be very happy about. So we'll see how they do.
Acceptable for a live race for sure.
Yes, and actually someone making a remark, which is true. They want to keep their eye on the missile count, because the ice missiles are very useful for freezing the stretchies, which do damage and also are useful as platforms. But you actually use a lot of missiles in this section, so want to make sure you don't run out of missiles. Ooh, Den's missile count is very low.
Yeah, really low.
You normally want to have at least four missiles entering the door with the room with the eye door. And Den has several rooms to go before then, so Den could be in trouble. We'll see how Den handles it. Exploud in very good shape here. Getting the freeze set up and right at the door.
Den having a bit of trouble with this jump here.
440 door time, that's pretty solid. And this is going to be a beam core X, so they're both going to try to do a setup to get the doubles on it, but it's a little bit tricky. Didn't get that first one. Got the second double, so let's set up for the sweet spot, and doesn't quite get it, but still, that's probably going to be it looks like 424, which is a respectable time. Yeah, can't be upset about that.
Nice job by Exploud. Den coming up here too.
Yep. Den, unfortunately, already several seconds behind with oh gosh. Yeah, probably going to have to take the long way around since it only has one missile left. Yeah. Thankfully, can afford to body the hits, so... Oh, no! Taking the tumble. Oh, and firing the missile. So Den's definitely going to... Yeah, Den's definitely going to be taking this hefty time loss here.
How about when you know you're low on missiles, does that mean you just have to pray that you get a drop, or you have to go out of your way sometimes?
Well, thankfully, you can still put the charge beam into the eye to take it out in one shot, but... for that particular room, you want to have 3 ice missiles coming into it at least, so that you can get the setup to jump off the frozen side hopper. Otherwise, you have to go all the way around. That takes a few extra seconds. Alright, Den getting a 401, so unfortunately that's over 20 seconds slower there. Oh, Exploud trying to get the fancy climb. Getting a hitting the wrong stretchy with that first missile. Still getting a pretty good backup climb. But both of them now done with the emergency. Don't worry, Frankerzy is safe. And they are both on their way out to do the right thing, which is to say, save the animals.
Save the animals from their what's the experimental habitat, man.
Well, it doesn't seem that bad. It has a tire swing. It's got nice
yeah, that tire
trees.
swing is really fun. Yeah.
Shoot, it's nicer in my yard.
Yeah. And these guys, as you'll see, they kind of can choose when to come out of that door whenever they want. Some of the animals seem to like their little habitat there, so they don't like to come out as soon as they could come out, right?
Yeah. Oh, Den doing a little bit of a... Oh, Den's just doing a simple climb. Which is fair. Those stretchies do hurt a lot, as you can see there. He took a hit there, and yeah, his energy health could be doing better. But again, there's still plenty of things. There's still several bosses, quite a few bosses left that can eat up time if they want to be uncooperative, and there's still plenty of movement that can lose time. So this race is far from over. They're still very much within firing distance of each other at this point.
Yeah, Dan doesn't have to do anything different except just keep playing solidly as he could, and then hopefully time will come back. He can catch up somehow in the future.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Trying a little bit of familiar ground here. Thankfully, the movement is very similar to it was the first time around, just now you can jump higher, so this climb here is a little bit different. Oh, not quite sure if I want to climb that shaft, but... Alright, now, the next room has a couple of stretchies in it. There are several ways of getting through it quickly. Let's see if either of them decides to go for the impossible strat, or they just want to go for something a little bit safer. We'll find out here in a moment.
I vote impossible.
Exploud going for the quicker wall jump strat, trying to go for a jump extend, which is if you're in a somersault and you shoot, Samus pops out of that somersault and actually loses her vertical momentum for a moment, letting you go a little bit higher and further than you normally be able to. Not quite grabbing that ledge though. Does get the shine break, so you can just shine spark up this vertical shaft, and hello animals. Let's see if they're fast.
See how fast they want to come out of their beautiful habitat there.
Uh-oh, it's not going to be a quick one.
There's one, and the other ones are still playing. There's two.
Oh, gosh, that third Edakun, there it is. Oh, man, that was not a very cooperative animals. And Den actually having a pretty clean climb there. That was a good climb. And let's see how Den handles the stretchies. This is grabbing here one of the second to last missile tank you'll see them grab.
Now, if you're Dan at this point, do you start going for more risky stuff and you see you live this far behind? Or you still just play your way and then hope it comes out in the end?
Well, the thing is, like I said, risky strats in Fusion will usually save very little time. So honestly, depending on how comfortable you're feeling, your best bet, honestly, is just to... Oh, goodness. Gonna lose a little bit of time there. You want to have Samus's front foot on that right block, right? Okay, Dan's got... You should have it this time, but... Oh, well, no, I'm sorry. I got sidetracked. But, Den can try to do some riskier strats, but honestly, the amount of time you save, depending on how you feel or how you've been playing, usually isn't always worth it. A lot of times your best bet just is to play steady, play consistent, and just hope that your opponent makes mistakes.
See how Den's animals decide to act here.
Den has a very quick animal. Those are good animals.
They know the situation.
Den gets some quick animals. Very nice. And where's Den going? Did Den forget about the other missile tank? Oh, I guess Den just doesn't grab that missile tank.
Yeah, we'll see if it pays off, the move, whether it was intentional.
That's an unusual choice. Like I said, most folks will opt to grab 40 missiles, because it's convenient to making sure you don't run out of missiles on a couple of upcoming boss fights. and also makes Notori, a boss that's very missile heavy, a lot less annoying. Yeah, it's a curious choice though, so we'll see if that ends up paying off.
Maybe he knew the situation and took the calculated risk, I guess.
Yeah. If anything, I might have expected that from Exploud if Exploud was behind, because Exploud did grab the extra main deck missile tank, which, so even with missing one, would have had a 40, but this should put Exploud at 45. Alright, but they're both on their way to Sector 5. This second visit to Sector 5 is the first time you'll also see the Sector 5 Shine Spark, which is a little bit tricky to set up. Let's see if Exploud can do it here. Looks good, and yep, got it. Taking advantage once again of that first frame release, and then just mash the jump button to get the Shine Spark active, and up you go.
Swag Spark.
That's a very cool Shine Spark. It's actually harder to get than the one you'll see later, although the later one definitely looks a lot more impressive.
Well, that's the one coming up where it goes through like 5 or 6 rooms and just like goes forever.
Yeah, that's awesome. The one. And appropriately enough, Exploud is getting the probably the closest thing to a namesake in this game, the power bombs. Because in this game, the power bombs are extremely loud. But they're very useful because the developers also combined them with the X-ray scope. So when you drop a power bomb, it reveals hidden things. It's kind of handy. And here comes the whoosh. Oh boy. Let me tell you, 100% this game gives you so many power bombs, but honestly, the 10 that it gives you to start with is all you ever need. Oh, dodging that ice beam shot. Even with the various suit, Sax's ice beam will do 203 damage, so it can very easily kill you if you're not paying attention to it. I have died to that before, and it's... Oh, Den unfortunately not getting the Shine Spark. We're gonna have to take a little bit of slower movement through these rooms. And oh, Exploud! Going for the Kadoom strat! Ooh, there we go!
Nice by Exploud.
Yeah, if you go through the room quickly enough, you can actually freeze that crab on the wall before it falls and use it as a platform to wall jump up to the left side. It actually looks really cool. But power bombs also let you take some shortcuts, like this little tiny rolly shaft here. And Den now also having the whooshy bombs. We got a lot of folks talking about animals in chat, which is appropriate, because we're about to go see them again. Because the computer's going to be like, hey, you come back to the ship, I want you to come here and see how cute these animals are. Yeah,
we never kill animals in this game, never.
No. How would you do that?
Except the evil ones, I guess, that are native to the planet.
What? If you want me to drop some lore, technically these animals are not the animals. These are actually the X reconstructions of animals, because they consume enemies, they consume creatures and then take their forms. They don't just like possess them.
It's a bit of a Sonic vibe there. So when they possess the animals, then what happens when you take care of them? When you kill them, what happens?
They just go back into their original X gelatinous form.
Okay, I can dig it.
Yeah, which is actually why if you were paying attention to Sector 4, the Ceres we fight is not the real Ceres. You actually see its skeleton a couple of rooms before.
There you go. Look at this.
Oh, Exploud unfortunately getting some bad luck here with those with the acid drool. I'm gonna have to do the power bombs and pick up an extra missile tank that probably didn't want to grab. Yeah, those enemies in the ceiling that drool on you, there's really not much you can do about them. You kind of just have to run and hope that they don't drool on you, because if they do, well, then you're not going to have enough speed to break through those blocks. So Den could gain a little bit of time back there.
Exploud getting on the ship. And coming up a little bit behind here. I would say he's, what, a minute or two behind?
About. And look at the animals, look at him! And wait for it, there it is!
We want to go back to our habitat. This ship is very small.
This ship is home now. Unfortunately, despite the fun happiness of seeing the animals again, they're coming up on one of the bosses that runners have learned to dread, Yakuza. Which is, despite the fact that everyone calls it a spider, only has 6 legs, we're not entirely sure what it is. Actually, we know exactly what it is. A time waster.
Spider-ish creature that is very difficult.
Yep.
Definitely very RNG based, yeah.
Yes, very much so. With proper setup, we can get it out of its first phase with it opening its mouth only 1 extra time, which is what they're going to try to do. Unfortunately, how long it takes it to actually open its mouth that second time is, well, up to it. Thankfully, they can actually accelerate that by getting grabbed by Yakuza, which you're going to see both of them do, most likely, once they get to the fight. And Exploud's also you're going to see him jump up and shoot before you see Yakuza. You can actually hit it before it's visible right here, just like that. Any shots you make while the screen is scrolled will hit it. So here we go. Gonna get grabbed to reset its movement and hope that it opens its mouth quickly.
Let's see if it wants to play nice here. Nope.
Not so much, and... Oh, come on. Come on, you darn spoder. Oh, gosh. Just not having good Yakuza luck.
He is not cool with this. There you go.
Gets the 2-cycle, though, and now it's time for phase 2. Just start bouncing around the room. All you can do here is just react. This is a very reactive phase. This one just takes practice to get good at. And this is also the phase where a lot of times you'll see folks run out of missiles so they don't have a good missile count. Which makes the core annoying. Because remember, cores can only be damaged by missiles. And now, on top of that, ice missiles. So you're going to see Exploud jump really high up and try to set up for very high double missiles here. Because he has to, because ice missiles have an even longer cooldown than super missiles. Having a little bit of trouble getting a lot of doubles here, though, but manages to pull it off.
Those doubles have to be some of the most difficult.
The Yakuza doubles are... of the ice missile doubles are probably the easiest, but they're still definitely harder than any ones before this point. Probably the most difficult standard core doubles are the ones from the Ridley core, because at that point you have diffusion missiles, and they are extremely difficult to get. And Den looks like he had a good setup for the first shot. Now let's see if we can get good luck here, gain some time back. Oh, Yakuza, please!
He's not playing nice on this side either.
No. Not at all. Yeah. Oh gosh, such bad luck from both of them. It's important to note, if you don't break free from Yakuza by moving the D-pad back and forth really quickly, Yakuza will carry you up very high and then slam you into the ground for massive damage. You don't want that. You do not want that. Oh goodness. Den having a little bit of trouble keeping missile count up. It's probably going to lose some time on the core, having to farm it for green. Yep, gonna have to farm it for green X's, unfortunately. Oh gosh, only one off that first hit.
Just dropped the 1. Come on. A little bit nicer here, but still.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Exploud going through the scary sax chase from everyone's childhood there.
Yeah, they just come in. I remember playing this game just like, when is she gonna come back? Please don't come back. You know, this the music change and everything. Really intense.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's also the one you can't wait for. The sax will literally patrol in that first room until it spots you. So you have to be chased there. And thankfully, the speedrun strat is pretty secure. I mean, as long as you keep moving and don't miss your shots, you're generally in very little danger. But if you miss your shots trying to get through the floor, the sax will catch up to you and can kill you. In fact, we saw that happen yesterday in a race, and that was a very, very unfortunate way for that race to happen. And this is Notori. This is one of the reasons why some folks like having at least 40 missiles, as you can see, it's a very missile-intense boss.
He's nice enough just to let you.
Yeah, since it doesn't move, the only thing you have to worry about is getting knocked into the flowers. Those plasma beams do a fair bit of damage, and just pump damage into it. Now we have another.
He's just standing there, entrenched in plants.
Yep. Meanwhile, you see Den taking advantage of taking a shot from the ice beam. Looks like Den's in good shape to avoid the sax, and Den is clear of the sax. Exploud having a little bit of trouble getting doubles by the looks of it, but gets sweet spot at least. Yeah, getting doubles on the beam cores is always a little bit trickier, and this is a short room, and you have ice missiles, so if you don't have good control of the space jump you got from Yakuza, which is a little bit weird in this game, then getting doubles there is tricky. Oh,
Explode
tumble.
Did the swag spark, but then took the tumble.
Yeah, I'm honestly willing to chalk up the space jump. Space jump in this game is somewhat unwieldy. Yeah, but you'll see there dropping the power bomb a little bit further down than you think you need to, just because that way by the time you arrive where you need to blow through the wall, you don't have to wait for the fuse, it's already exploding. Little optimizations like this are where all the time save comes from in this run. And Den, unfortunately, having a little bit of trouble getting his positioning. Den is not far forward enough on that front platform. If Samus is far forward enough, that back flower will not shoot spores, and the spores will actually not hit you at all. But unfortunately, was a little bit too far back and just had to deal with those spores constantly. Meanwhile, Exploud getting that scary music because it's time for everyone's least favorite enemy in a casual run. Let's see if Den can get some doubles. Oh! Missile count's a little bit low. Den's probably gonna have to farm a couple of green X's here. Oh, should be fine if he grabs that one. Alright. Alright. But it's time for the Nightmare. Everyone's favorite sad microwave. I hope you remember that Shine Spark that Exploud did earlier, because now Exploud's going to do its bigger brother, the Nightmare Shine Spark. Unless you're Paulsmore, in which case you'll do the Nightmare Space Boost, which is extremely difficult. But the Shine Spark looks really cool. It's a little bit easier to set up because you do it from the ground instead of jumping through the door. So, looks like you got it. And here we go, several rooms of shoulder tackle.
Beautiful.
She could go all the way!
I wonder if that was like intentionally programmed in there to make that moment happen. Because if you can do it, it's awesome.
Well, the thing is, the backup strat, if you miss the quick setup, is just to run along the floor in the big room. So there's two ways you can back up that Shine Spark. So I'm pretty sure it was intended. And now I'm just gonna go through some underwater pirates. Yeah, the fish pirates, which are they suck.
I don't know how I want to see that evolution line there.
It's actually a cool thing that the X do, where sometimes they'll combine to form stronger enemies. They don't do it nearly enough, unfortunately. I always thought it was kind of cool, but it only happens like 2 or 3 times. But there's the door. It's time. It's time for the Nightmare. Nightmare is 3 phases. First phase is simple enough. You hit it with 1 charge shot, 1 missile. You go into the second phase, the gravity phase. You're going to see them both try to jump up to hit that thing in its belly with both the flare and fire the missile inside it. Because if the missile is not inside it when they fire it, it'll just get pulled down to the ground. And just like that, so Exploud's getting good setup. And 1 more should get him into his phase 3. Perfect. Very good phase 1 and 2. Phase 3 is where it gets tricky, though. You just pump as many missiles as you can here, and then once it gets close to you, it's going to start going wild. Nightmare will chase either Samus or an random invisible dot that you cannot see, and all they can try to do is get Nightmare to line up where they want, because once Nightmare is completely on screen just like that, it'll start moving slowly again. Exploud gets a very good placement, should be able to finish it off just like that.
Yeah, this part too.
This is one of the most difficult parts of one of the most difficult boss strats to learn for a new runner, because there really is no good way to explain how to maneuver Nightmare in Phase 3. You just kind of have to get the hang of... Ooh, it gets a double. You just kind of have to get the hang of figuring out what is Nightmare chasing the Dot or Samus, and then once you have that figured out, where do you need to be to make sure that Nightmare stops where you want it to stop? Because if it stops in a spot where you can't hit it, you're going to lose a lot of time waiting for it to start flying around again. So Nightmare is a spot where it's very easy to lose a lot of time. Or die outright if you get run into it by a few times. But Exploud is through that fight and moving on. And meanwhile, Den is going to be entering it. Hopefully Den also has a good fight.
Here we go with Den. See if Den can make up a little bit of time here with a great Nightmare fight. Nightmare's one of the bosses I feel bad for. It seems like he's crying the emo tears of green. But you still have to kill him, unfortunately.
Yeah. Alright, get into phase 2 nice and quick. Had an even faster phase 2 than Exploud did. Let's see how phase 3 goes. Ideally, you want it to be in its face to be orange by the time it starts flying around. They both got that.
Nice.
And okay. Oh! Nightmare's following the dot, so now it's following Samus, and oh, that was a very good phase 3. That was a very good phase 3. Den's going to gains a little bit of time on the Nightmare fight itself. Very well played. Oh, unfortunately, again, Den... I think it's because Den skipped the animal missile tank here. Just Den's been struggling for missiles for several bosses now. Thankfully, he's been getting this one. Got very lucky on those green X's.
Very kind with the drops there.
You know, yeah, that was a solid Nightmare fight. Well played, well played. You know, Exploud in the most relaxing sector, and Den will be following shortly. Underwater Sector 4.
So at
no
this
bosses
point,
down here.
Do we need Exploud to make a huge mistake for Den to be able to catch up? We're still in the rain. We're almost getting towards the end here, right? So do we need a big mistake from Exploud to make this thing close again?
Yeah, at this point, the biggest concerns will be if Exploud's health gets low enough, Exploud might start playing very safe, which, at that point, that could give Den some time to catch up, because they're over a minute apart at this point. But it's definitely possible to... there's really no boss RNG or movement or RNG that can really close the gap substantially at this point. It's really going to come down to Den playing very well and Exploud making a lot of mistakes. Or dying outright, because Exploud's health is pretty low. Underwater Sector 4 is relaxing, to be sure, as far as the music and the ambience, but a lot of the enemies here do serious damage, like those big fish. And even with the gravity suit, which they both have now, which reduces damage a fair bit, these enemies will knock you around and take huge chunks out of your energy. Oh, Exploud opting to take the refill. Very smart move, I would have done the same. At this point, Exploud's in excellent shape. If Exploud can keep the pace and not suffer any unfortunate losses, Exploud's in very good shape to take this. But it's not over till it's over, like I said, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, so in terms of obviously when you're doing speedrun, you never want to refill at all. But for race, you got to really kind of see the situation and see, okay, I need to, if I'm so far ahead, I should refill, right?
Yeah, well, honestly, never say never, because I mean, especially if you're still kind of picking it up a bit and your time is not like a super competitive time, then if you need a refill, take a refill. Better to finish the run and practice the entire run than to, you know, enter the next sector with less than 100 energy and dive to something silly. It's all about playing to the point where you're comfortable. That's important for both, you know, trying to get a PB and also for racing. Just do what you feel you gotta do, because as you improve, you can always, later on, you'll always have a run where you do better. You don't have to do it, but just...
I'd be interested if Den chooses to take that refill too, then, because if he takes it, obviously he loses time, but he just wants to finish for sure too. So let's see.
Yeah, well, with 288, I think Den might opt not to. That should be plenty of health. Now they both have diffusion missiles. Diffusion missiles thankfully charge through door transitions like the charged beam does, so you'll see Den actually charge it right through this door, which is good, because the diffusion takes about 6 seconds to charge, so you save time there by letting the door do the charging for you. Yeah, I don't think Den's going to take a refill. There's a room full of blue X that Exploud just went through. You can grab those if you freeze them with the plasma beam. And that should be more than enough health to deal with the Oh yeah, so remember you were asking me about the box?
Mhm.
Guess what?
It's box time.
It's time for box 2, Electric Boogaloo. Or also, although this time it's been infected by the X, because it turns out it had organic components. How very Star Trek Voyager. And so they're going to fight it a second time, and this time it will drop a core.
So this is the same box we met earlier, not a box I stupidly thought.
But it's been upgraded. Now it electrifies the water and shoots missiles instead of bombs. So let's see if Exploud gets the good placement. This room is shorter, so when it jumps, it can knock you off the ceiling this time. So you have to be mindful of that. That's why you saw Exploud move back a little bit, so it wouldn't knock him off with a jump. In this one, placement is very important. You want to be close enough to be able to shoot those diagonal shots, but not so close that you can't move away and avoid getting knocked down. And that was a solid box 2 fight. I gotta be careful with the wave core here. The wave core, those wave beams do a fair bit of damage. This core can kill you. Oh man, look at that. Oh boy.
Ooh.
Oh boy, got it. Yeah. No, in fact, the wave core actually, if you are down on your racing lore, Hercules bench press, a very good runner, actually took a race loss to the wave core X in an AGDQ race. So, like we said, you cannot take anything for granted in this game. Not even the cores. The cores can still kill you. They do a lot of damage.
Warning, no entry without authorization. Warning, no entry without
Exploud coming up towards the end of the game. Three bosses left.
Yes, indeed, and Den's still right on his tail. We're going to be fighting the Xbox here in a moment.
Metroid Laboratory in the house. Too bad the Metroids don't play a bigger part in this game.
They play a big part, although probably not in the same way that you're intending when you say that.
Yeah. People Samus here getting eaten by Metroids.
Can they suck the life out of something that has no life?
We asked that question forever, I think.
Just little Metroid things. Alright. Den facing off against Xbox. Getting that. Oh! A little bit too close, it gets knocked off. The man just to salvage it. Very nice. Yeah, ideally you can get 2 diagonal shots before it jumps at you, and then 3 more missiles in it before it starts firing missiles again. The timing windows are kind of tight, but that's what you gotta do if you want to get through it fast. Oh, but unfortunately, the hitbox for hitting the middle is kind of tricky. If you're a little bit off center, your missiles will tank. So, thankfully, should have no trouble with missiles. But I hope Den's careful with his health though, because oh,
ooh, took a hit there.
Okay. Oh gosh, Den, please be careful. All right, one more shot. Just. Oh!
Took care of it. That was close.
We got beep strats for a moment there. Good heavens.
Has to make it exciting, right?
Yeah, sure, exciting. Alright. But, talking about... Man, Exploud's name just seems very relevant here, considering where they're headed next. It's time for everyone's favorite shouty space lizard. That's right, it is time for Ridley, which Ridley looks a little bit funny in this game, but there's one thing that's not funny about Ridley. Well, 2 things. One is that scream, and 2 is the fact that Ridley just sometimes will just give you trouble. Sometimes Ridley will just give you trouble. You can shoot. You're gonna see them both do the same thing, which is shoot charged shots diagonally through its hitbox, because plasma beam does damage per frame inside a hitbox. And square hitbox is diagonal. It's math, okay? You all studied math, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, they're going to do diagonal shots followed by missiles. And they're going to be trying to get as many of them through the diagonal as possible by standing in the bottom right corner and just letting Ridley get into position. The problem is Ridley can grab them, Ridley can hit them with his tail, and these things will both do a lot of damage and get you out of position, so they gotta be careful.
This is where the first race of this tournament, Hercules, went down here to Ridley.
Yeah, that's again, Ridley is a boss that you kind of take for granted when you're playing this game, because it's not the strategy is very simple, but you got to be ready for really just to throw you some curveballs. Otherwise, you can die because that tail does damage, and it really grabs you and starts moving you around.
Headphone warning.
Exploud seems to be in good shape though, and yep, Exploud got him. Now let's see if he can get any doubles here. Diffusion doubles are exceedingly difficult.
He made that look really easy. Like,
yeah,
it shouldn't even be a problem level, but obviously he made it look easy. Yeah.
Yeah, you can have 99 out of 100 of your fights look like that, and the 100th fight is just terrible, and you die. It just happens. All right, Exploud did not get any doubles, which is fine. Like I said, diffusion doubles on the Ridley core are possibly the hardest doubles in the entire game. So getting even one is a bonus. It's like icing rather than, you know, something you expect to get. Den on his way to Ridley as well.
So you hopefully goes just as well there.
Certainly hope so. Meanwhile, Exploud on the way to the next boss, another challenging boss. Thankfully, the next boss does have a quick kill strat that can make it very fast, but assuming you have to get the setup right, so we'll see how that works out when we get closer. Both now having the, well, not yet, but Exploud having the screw attack, which in this game is pretty darn broken. You're invincible, and it just kills most things when you touch them.
Yeah, I think in every Metroid that you don't give it to you to the very end because they know it. You know.
Yep. All right, come on, Den. Give Ridley the business. I believe in you.
Take down anime Ridley.
Alright, unfortunately having a little bit of trouble. Ridley just seems to be kind of low and turning its back a lot. Oh, well, okay, thankfully I was worried he was going to start pogoing there. That's a pattern you don't want to see. Got him.
Stay on that right side there, got him, yeah.
And gotta be careful, the tail still does damage even while Ridley's exploding, so it's actually possible to die after you kill Ridley, which is kind of always a little bit embarrassing.
And awesome.
And meanwhile on Exploud's screen, we have the longest dialogue in the game. What else can be said? It's Resident Sleeper in dialogue form.
Gotta talk to the computer and learn some important things.
Yeah, sure, important things. You know, suddenly I'm much more interested in the texture of this pillow. I should better go in for a closer look. But yeah, while Exploud's dealing with that dialogue, Den is also on his way to go fight the Sax, because now it's time to face off with the Sax for real and actually defeat it. Oh yeah, but I guess there's lore. The X are really dangerous, so we gotta stop them.
That's enough.
There we go, done.
Samus's daughter is still trying to chase Samus. Samus is evil still, and her eyes are still blinded.
No, you don't understand. There are now no fewer than 10 daughters loose on this station.
Yeah. The real Samus's eyes are white, and she's kind of racist. She didn't know she was racist, so she doesn't like people that don't have white eyes. So then, you know, now she has to kill everyone without white eyes. That's basically it, guys.
You are taking this joke to a place I do not feel comfortable taking it.
Okay. I'll stop it there.
Okay. But
yeah, it's not really Samus, guys.
Yeah, but on the plus side, we do get a fancy effect here. We get to actually see Samus's baby blues. Just give it a moment here, and we'll see it on Exploud's screen. What? She has eyes? Alright, but now it's time to head up to the operations deck. But first, you're going to have to face off against the Sax. Here's what we gotta know about the Sax. 2 phases into core. First phase, what they're going to try to do is freeze it and then shoot it with charge shots. Because If you hit it with a charge shot when it's not frozen, it just gets knocked back and only hit once. If it's frozen, you get that plasma effect, which means it does damage per frame. So you're going to see them try to freeze it, and then jump, and then shoot diagonally down through it. And then if they do it right, which is to say they fire a charge shot and fire a missile immediately, they'll actually hit it with a charge shot, and then immediately refreeze it, and they just keep repeating that. But they have to fire the missile really quickly. They have to get in that timing just right. If they don't, it'll break free, and they're just going to have to fight it normally, which will take a lot more time. So that's what you're going to see them try to do for Phase 1. Phase 2 is really short. We'll talk about when we get there. That's all time we need.
Yeah. This is one of the ones where if you get it right, it looks like it's like simple, right?
Yeah, no. The fast strat for the sax fight compared to the casual strat is a huge time difference.
First time I saw it, I was like, that's it?
Yeah, exactly. That's only if they get the quick refreeze cycles. Otherwise, if it gets loose, it doesn't work. It'll take longer. So here we go. Let's see if Exploud can get the setup and pull it off. It's in position. Oh! Got the refreeze.
Still going.
Oh! Oh no, Exploud's in trouble. Because the sax still does a lot of damage even at this point. So you gotta be careful. And unfortunately, it looks like Exploud was releasing the charge shot too soon. And not getting the missile off. So it didn't quite work. Thankfully, if you know how the sax moves, you can get through this first phase without taking damage, although it will take longer. Oh, watch out!
Ooh, that was close. That was really close.
Yeah, unfortunately, the sax is one of the very few things in this game that the screw attack will not protect you from. Now, the second phase, one diagonal shot and then a vertical shot while it's jumping, can take it out in 2 hits. Let's see if we can get it. Looks good. And phase 2 is over.
Samus's evolved form.
Ice core. It's possible to get doubles if you space jump above it and shoot down, but I think Exploud's going to opt to take the safe strat. Yeah, I can't blame him, because the ice core actually still does a lot will hurt you. At his current health, 2 shots the ice core would kill him outright, so just opting for the safety strat. 6 missiles will take it out.
Yeah, I think the safety strat is definitely the right move here. When you're in the position he's in.
So Den can gain back time if Den uses the fast strat, but unfortunately at this point, I think Exploud's lead could be a little bit too difficult might be a little bit too much unless Exploud has trouble with the Omega.
Propulsion sequence activated. Destination.
Scotty, it does so much hurt that it hurts my grammar, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, the only thing that remains is the, what some folks would debate is not the real final boss, but yeah, it kind of is. You have to fight the Omega Metroid, and you have the Ice Beam, and it's not a terribly difficult fight, but remember, health is not as high as it might be in a casual run. Mm-hmm. And every swipe that the Omega does will do 1 E-tank of damage, so 4 hits, you're done.
This is one of the strats where it's just like get in the right position, just pump away around.
Yep. Let's see if Den can get the quick strat. Ooh, looks like he might have it. Oh, look at that. That's what you want to see. 3 and 4-shot sax. That was very good. So that's how you want that fight to look. Let's see if Den can get the second phase quickly. Very nice. Yeah, that's pretty darn. That was an almost perfect sax fight. I don't know if Den's going to shoot. Yeah, Den's not going to go for the doubles. The doubles are hard to get on this core. So it's unfortunate, because if Den had been closer, that he could have very easily caught up with that sax fight. But now let's see if Exploud can get the quick kill, because it is possible to kind of get the Omega kind of backpedaling in place, which will let you kill it very quickly, but if your positioning is wrong, it's just going to swipe you and knock you out. So let's see if Exploud can get this set up.
Oh, God.
List is going for the diagonal. Oh, didn't quite get the setup. Oh, Exploud does not get the kill. Oh, and Exploud actually got hit twice. You mess up the setup, you'll get hit twice sometimes, so Exploud better be careful. 2 more hits from the Omega and he could die. So he's just taking it easy here, just kind of taking it safe. Oh! Exploud's gonna have to take it very safe here. Gets the kill.
There you go. It could have been interesting right there, but he got the kill.
Yes. So Exploud is moments away from finishing here. Time comes at loss of control. And just like that, Exploud has done and finishes with an SRL time of 1:24 flat.
Very nice, very nice. Got the lead. Let's see. When did he get the lead? Let's watch Dan here first before we talk about the.
Yep. No, Dan had a very strong sax fight. Let's see if Dan can have a good finish with the Omega here. That's the thing. We're actually going to compare. Oh, I don't think that's going to give him the low height. Not quite. It's actually possible to shine spark all the way into this room if you get a low height, but it's a bit tricky to do. Come on, Dan, all the way to the left. There you go. Oh, you lost Dan's audio. But all right, let us see. Let us see if Dan can get the quick kill. Now, Den might opt to do either the vertical or the diagonal strat to get the Omega quick kill. We'll see which one they decide to use. Looks like they're gonna go for diagonal, and they got the setup. Perfect. That should do it.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Walk in place, yeah.
Den having a very good sax and a very good Omega. Unfortunately, the time lost earlier in the race was a bit too great to overcome despite that strong finish. But Den still putting up a very strong race, finishing with an SRL time of 1:25.37. GG to both. They stayed close. They stayed close the entire time.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely close the whole way. I think they're about halfway through or so. Exploud got a little bit of a lead and then built on that the rest of the race. But yeah, definitely within 2 minutes, right?
Absolutely. Got to see some interesting things and just put up a good race. So all y'all out there, give these two racers a follow. They put on a good show for you, and I think it's a follow.
Exactly. They didn't die. Give them a follow, guys. They saved the animals too. There they are, the beautiful, cute animals.
They saved the day, because you know what they say, sometimes when you save the animals, the time will come that the animals save you too.
Or teach you new tricks, at least, at the very least.
Oh, yeah, that too, that kind of... But now we just wait and see what the in-game time is. At the end of the credits, it'll show the clear time, and we'll see how that works out. Because we actually use in-game, much like we're using in-game time for the boards, we actually use in-game time for the race as well, and we just use RTA for the tiebreak. I don't pretend to understand why these decisions are made. It's above my pay grade.
just go with it.
Now let's see if Exploud or Den want to come in here and have a chit chat with us.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see here.
Oh, there's Exploud.
Exploud, how you doing?
Hi, very stressful at the end, I guess.
So how did you feel during that? How did you feel during the whole race? Are you feeling good the whole time?
I was not very happy until I don't even remember who is I hate you. Speed. Oh yeah, Yakuza.
yeah.
Kidding. Yeah, there I got a good fight besides the 4 rounds. So I saved a lot of time there, and then yeah, was constant all the way until Sax and Omega happened. I guess that's what happens when you. Yeah, I guess that's what happens when you de-rest the day of the run of the race.
Oh, looks like Dan is here as well. Let's put him in here.
Dan, how you doing?
Oh, hey, what's up?
So how you feeling after that race, Dan?
I'm frustrated. That was a interesting run.
Well, he looked well. Trust me, it looked great for everyone watching for sure. Exploud. So when did you were you watching the other stream? Did you know where you were in position and decided to take a little bit safer in the second half?
No, I didn't know. All I knew is that I was ahead of my PB by 28 seconds before going into box, so I decided to refill. It's all like kids, 5 seconds lost. I don't care at that point.
Yeah. And Dan, how about you? Do you know Go ahead, Exploud.
yeah, I was at 110 health, and and afterwards I lost like 100 health. So I was like, yeah, that was a good choice.
How about you, Den? Did you know where you were in the race in terms of?
Yeah, I was checking every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
It got a lot further. Like the gap became a lot bigger towards the end, but it's all right.
No, it's still a great race.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gap kind of widened in a couple spots, but you guys still stayed pretty much still kind of stayed on each other's tails throughout. Although,
Yeah.
And especially at the end, it's when we were talking about that Exploud, you got a bit dicey with the sacks there, but Den had a strong sax and a good Omega. So if it had been closer, it could have been a pretty nail biting finish there.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm actually a bit mad because I think it might have been a 50 in game time if I didn't choke both last bosses.
Oh yeah, the sax one a little bit better, yeah, for sure. That one kind of got off the rails a little bit there. So yeah, 52 and 53. Nicely, it's only 1 minute difference, guys. That was a great race.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't expect to win, to be honest. I dearusted this today. I dearusted today because I didn't have time, and somehow I got a good run until Sykes and Omega. So I don't know. I nearly died to the first core of the game, to the second core of the game.
Oh my god, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I positioned myself too much to the right, so the core didn't stay under the platform. So it started to chase me around.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's rough.
It's been awful.
Yeah, so Explode, like, so when you saw you were ahead, I mean, you didn't know where you were, of course. So when the Yakuza fight kind of went a little bit sideways, did you get frustrated? Did you kind of change your playing at all, or did you just kind of put your head down and go?
To be honest, I always get 4 rounds in my runs, so I'm like used to it. I literally save 30 seconds because I always get 4 rounds anyway. So yeah, I don't know. I got a double on the core, which I never get, so I was happy with that. I was like, okay, I got a double, fine. I was happy with it. I don't care about the 4 rounds, to be honest. And besides, from the beginning, I got insanely good doors until the one before. I think it was before the plant.
I think that made a huge difference because I was getting a lot of 3s and 4s. Like, I don't think I've ever gotten that many 4s in a run before. It was really rough.
Yeah, we saw that earlier in the run. Yeah, you had the tough doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, the eyes were just not giving you any sort of love. It's kind of like, hey, was that you said more beams? Can do.
Cool. So yeah, I guess Exploud, congratulations. Great job with the run.
Yeah, but GG to you both though. That was a great race.
Yeah.
We had a great time talking over that.
Yeah, anytime with 1 minute difference. I mean, could have went either way for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and let's take a look at challenge here. Looks like after this Exploud, you are going to be facing off against Scotty next round. So that's going to be a thing.
Where is the retire button? Where is the retire button somewhere, please?
And Dan, looks like you're going to face off against the loser of a round that has no one entered into it yet. So we're just going to have to wait and see. You're going to be in limbo for a bit, for a couple of weeks. You essentially get 2 weeks of buys, I think.
That's all right. Well, that's all right.
So what are you both going to do for your next rounds? You got any plans to just kind of practice hard, just kind of work on some trouble areas? What are your plans looking for your next race?
Personally, I want to learn doubles a lot more because I could get them with normal missiles, but once I get supers, it's really hard and I don't know the timing. So I definitely have to grind that out a bit.
Yeah, for me, practice my late game, I guess. But I have the playing night tournament as well, so I don't know when I'm gonna do that.
That's the thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's all. It's just like you want to do well, but it's like, gosh, where am I going to find the time to practice before the next race?
Too many tourneys. God damn it.
Yeah. That's a good problem to have, though, for the watchers, for sure.
Oh yeah, everyone out there, I'm sure, is loving this. I know. I'm always liking having some good races to watch, and I'm looking forward to seeing both of your races once they roll around.
Yep, I'm excited to see where I could go from here.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Last tournament I was like going through the tournament very lucky every single race besides one. So I was like, yeah, okay, fine. Ended up in top 16 somehow. I don't know. And my PB was worse than now. So yeah. It's basically a wait and see situation for me. Like, okay, well, whatever, we'll see.
Hey,
with Fusion, anything can happen. So
yeah, it's Fusion. Sometimes folks could just randomly die to bosses, die to normal enemies. I mean, Fusion just is a bit of that's one of the fun things about Fusion. It's always an adventure for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, PBs definitely don't mean okay, this person's gonna win, for sure in this game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna be praying in front of the Ridley statue, so Scotty dies to it, I guess. Otherwise, I can't win.
You heard it here first. Exploud wants Scotty to die to Ridley. But speaking of races, I think we should probably mention a little bit about what we got coming up, because this is not our last race of the night tonight for Fusion. No.
Oh, cool.
We have tonight at 8 p.m. we have Metroid Master versus JC. That one's going to be on. Actually, I'm not sure which Speed Gaming channel it's going to be on. Looks like. Oh, there we go. It's on Speed Gaming 3.
All right, like right now, or
No.
I think in 2 hours. Now?
2 hours, okay.
An hour and change, yeah, at 8 p.m.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Which is conveniently enough also when the next thing starts on this channel, which is SM64. So we actually don't have to rush to get off get off right now. So with that in mind, Den, Exploud, you got any other final words? Any words for your upcoming opponents? Any thoughts? Any words for your fans out there?
I'm just really embarrassed that I didn't realize I needed a Speedruns Live account before starting this race. That was that troubled me. I don't know how I didn't realize that.
Oh, one thing I do want to ask before you go is you did not pick up missiles that one time, which is a normally place where people pick up missiles. Was that intentional, or did you forget?
Yeah,
or was it just
the
a
animal
strategic move?
missiles.
Oh yeah, no, I never get those. I actually didn't realize people get those until recently. I always do 40.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I never really felt the need to get the extra 5. So
Yeah. For me, the game forced me to get 50 instead of 45 because you just will not get your shine spark to the ship. Well, I guess I
What's
use
that? Triple acid spit? Can do.
Yeah, no big deal. Gonna take an extra 5, I guess.
The game wants you to be very safe.
Exploud your chance. Any final words here for your fans, admirers?
I love Big Boom. Playing Night Runners will understand.
well, there you have it.
We'll leave on that note, I think.
All right. Well, once again, congratulations to Exploud for advancing, and GG to both of you. That was a great race, and we are going to get ready to sign off on this one. But Fusion will be back tonight at 8 p.m. on Speed Gaming 3. Look forward to that one.
All right.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Peace.
Yeah. See you then, folks.